Welcome to the Rocky Mountain REACH program. Our mission is to accelerate biomedical innovation in Alaska, Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana by providing pilot awards that support academic advancements. We aim to translate scientific and technical discoveries into impactful applications that address unmet health needs and disparities. This workshop is designed to guide you in submitting a successful application and hopefully increasing your chances of securing a pilot award. My name is Sarah Truglio. I am the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship Programs at the University of Montana, and I will be your presenter today for the Beyond the Lab workshop. While the direction of your research is ultimately your decision, we encourage you to think about things a little differently. And by extending your work beyond the lab, you can create meaningful societal impact. Engaging with a broader community and considering the societal implications of your research can lead to innovative solutions that address real-world challenges. The objectives for your innovation and the goal of today's workshop will help you with the following. Learning how to perform customer discovery to identify your market segment. Learn how to define and navigate through your industry ecosystem, and how to apply the life sciences venture canvas and value proposition tools to your project, and hopefully to strengthen your grant applications by showing a clear understanding of stakeholder needs and your project impact. Biomedical innovations have significantly enhanced healthcare delivery in rural areas, addressing challenges such as limited access to medical services and healthcare provider shortages. Notable examples include telemedicine and remote patient monitoring, mobile health clinics, advanced technology diagnostics, just to name a few. These innovations demonstrate the potential of biomedical technologies to overcome healthcare access challenges in rural areas and improving patient outcomes and enhancing the quality of care. And some of these concepts were started from universities. So what does all of this mean to you? It means that your work matters. But who does it impact? What market segment would benefit the most from your research? In the entrepreneurial world, we always say everyone is not your customer. So here are a few things that I'd like you to think about for later. Who does your work impact? Who would potentially benefit from it? Why does it impact them? And why would they care about your research and what you're doing? So let's define what a good customer segment is. It is a specific and well-defined group that is interested in your solution and are willing and able to pay for it. And I really encourage you to think of customers as users of your research. So here are 6 market segments and some brief definitions, which may help you with identifying some target market for your projects or your work. So the first one is needs-based, and this is essentially segmenting your market based on their unique problems, concerns, and potential solutions that they're looking for. The second one is demographic. So this is about understanding the makeup of your market and really drilling down to create several groups according to things like age, gender, education level, race, ethnicity, perhaps their location, income, religion, and also their family situation. The next one is behavioral, and this divides people into minor groups based on their habits, their needs, and particular wants. And then psychographics, which is probably the most interesting, which it's what drives people to do the things that they do. You know, what are their likes, what are their dislikes, what problems, challenges, pains do they face in their everyday lives, things of that nature. And then fifth is geographics. So where is your market located? This can be as wide as an entire continent, or it could even just be a single neighborhood or a street. And then the last one is transactional. Is there an audience that would pay for your research? And how would you be able to monetize this? So not knowing and not understanding your market is like taking a shot in the dark. You're making a guess or an estimate with very little or no assurance that your research or idea will work. And this image is the traditional path for taking an idea from your lab to the market or commercialization process. You have this really great idea or this research project that you've been working on, and you want to continue to develop it, but you don't know exactly how. And you end up wasting a lot of time between development and taking it to market. And you usually run out of grant funding during this period of time, and you really just don't get anywhere. You're kind of just spinning your wheels. And then, your research just ends up living in a paper or maybe a presentation that you do for your peers or colleagues at a conference, and it doesn't really benefit anybody. So we want to help you avoid the valley of death, or rather the time it takes to get your project beyond the lab. So this image is actually the reality of the path from research innovation to commercialization. And it involves several more key steps. First of which is customer discovery or market discovery. And it's, about engaging with potential users to understand their needs and validate your solution. And then prototype development, creating a functional model to test and refine your concept if you need or your process. And then mentorship and advisory support, seeking guidance from experienced professionals that, have been through this can help you navigate the challenges. And then being in a collaborative workspace, which I would imagine and hope that you all are, utilizing environments that foster, a real sense of teamwork and building your innovation. And then leadership skills, right? Somebody has to drive the ship. So developing effective team management capabilities is also very important. Intellectual property protection, securing any legal rights for your innovations, so you can move it forward, and funding acquisition, right? You will need money to be able to continue on with your research. So identifying and obtaining financial resources to support your development is very important. So the Rocky Mountain Reach program is designed to support you through these stages by offering funding, access to a mentor network, and resources tailored to your project's current phase, and really acting as a bridge during the valley of death, and hopefully helping you get through the commercialization stage a little quicker and not as painful, right? So 90% of startups fail. And, some people think it's because of funding or, lack of development, but the real reason that most startups fail is due to a lack of customers. So what does that really mean? It means that researchers and scientists and innovators, such as yourselves, are inventing products, services, and ideas that people don't really want, and there isn't a market need for them. So how do we find a repeatable, scalable venture model to avoid failure? Well, it's through curiosity, experimentation, and a little bit of collaboration, right? It's kind of like we're solving a mystery. The scientific method involves several steps, including asking questions, performing research, establishing a hypothesis, testing that hypothesis through experimentation, which is very important, and then making some observations based on that experimentation. And then at the end, you kind of want to draw your conclusions to determine, what your next steps are going to be. Are you going to pivot? Are you going to move on to something else because this isn't viable? Or did you get the feedback that you needed that you can continue on this path? So this approach helps you evaluate the impact of your ideas. So if customers aren't interested, right, and think of customers as people who are interested in your research idea, who might benefit, it's not personal, and they're just sharing valuable insights based on their own personal experiences. And you want to use this feedback to refine your ideas, and then rather than getting attached or defensive about your research project, really try to keep an open mind, and this will help you get through the process a little easier. Okay, so now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into customer discovery and development, which is an important part of your market research. So how do you find customers? Who are they? What do they need? Do you offer a solution that really fits this need? Finding your target market involves a combination of market research, so customer discovery, if you will, ecosystem mapping, and some planning on your part, right? Some strategic planning. So here's a process for successful customer discovery and really developing those customers that are going to align with your solution. So those of you that have participated in an NSF I-Core program may be familiar with the customer discovery or customer development process. So this probably won't be new information to you. So first thing you want to do is create a list of potential customers or markets. So who do you think can use your solution, right? Who out there could benefit from this? And then next you want to segment your markets, right? So you'll likely have a group of a bunch of folks or a bunch of different entities, and you want to divide the broader market into segments. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. So based on relevant criteria such as demographics, geography, healthcare needs, and behavior, right? So for example, segments could include specific patient populations, healthcare providers, or healthcare settings such as hospitals, clinics, maybe home care, or direct to consumer. And then you research your market by conducting customer discovery. So this is essentially gathering data on the healthcare landscape relevant to your innovation. And by all means, you want to get out of the building and ask questions. And then next, you really want to understand the needs of your market segment, right? So you identify and understand the perspectives of key stakeholders who will interact with or influence the adoption of your innovation. And this may include healthcare providers, patients, caregivers, payers like insurance companies and government agencies, regulatory bodies and industry partners, and even advocacy groups like patient advocacy groups as well. And then finally, you want to evaluate your market attractiveness, right? So you want to assess each market segment based on factors such as their size, their growth potential, any competition that's out there, any regulatory requirements, reimbursement landscape, and fit your innovation's capabilities and your value proposition. If you are providing a solution that can only help maybe 100, that it's a very rare thing that you're helping with, that maybe only affects 100,000 people, this may not be the best venture model for you, right? because likely it will cost you more to develop the solution than there are customers that can pay for it. So things to think about there, right? Um, so by following these steps, you can identify and target the market segments most likely to benefit from your innovation, and then ultimately increasing its chances of success and impact in the healthcare ecosystem. Okay, so if you have teenagers or you have ever taught a class, you are familiar with the expressions in these two images here. Your customers feel the same way. Customers don't care about your research discovery. They are trying to solve a problem. So customer discovery is about identifying that problem and exploring how you can potentially solve it. So some questions that may help you narrow down your target customers are: who are you intending to help? So who benefits the most? Remember, we discussed this a little bit earlier. And what is this person trying to accomplish? Are they satisfied with their current solutions or, whatever the standard of care is? Or are they constantly looking for something new, something innovative, something more efficient, something more effective, right? What problems do they face accomplishing these tasks, right? So the process is also very important, understanding the process. And also what motivates their decisions. Are they motivated by pain relief, cost relief, really determining what those factors are. And how is the problem being addressed currently? So what are your competitors doing? And what's the current standard of care? What benefit or value can you deliver? And what is your value proposition, right? What is the benefit to your customer? And why would they choose your discovery over someone else's or your solution over someone else's? What really differentiates you in the market? Okay, so why do we do customer discovery? Well, for several reasons, right? Because it stops us from building things that no one wants or need, right? Which is why 90% of businesses or startups fail. Or building things that are no longer relevant in the market. If the market is oversaturated and there are lots of competitors, it's going to be really, really hard to get your solution out there. And it also helps us deliver our solutions to those that need them the most and gets the solutions to market faster. All right, so customer discovery is the process of talking to people and using the scientific method to turn your theories into facts. And here is a quick video that goes into a little bit more detail.
Customer discovery, in the simplest terms, is asking your industry ecosystem questions to see where opportunities lie, uncover potential issues, and hone your business case. You're not just looking for facts, you're looking for insight. There are 3 steps to gain market insight. Number 1, build a map of your industry, also known as an ecosystem map. Number 2, generate a hypothesis. And number 3, conduct customer discovery. For any new innovation, there's a complex web of people involved in its adoption or rejection. As you go, start drawing a map of how the stakeholders interact. Step 2, your task is to generate a hypothesis. A hypothesis is your guess as to why people behave the way they do. Here is a useful framework. A specific person makes a decision or behavior because of a quantified problem. An example is soybean farmers with sandy soil purchase nematode insecticide costing no more than $20 per acre when yields drop by more than 10%. Identify an individual. What is the specific behavior you're trying to change? Identify the problem or pain. Make it measurable. In step 3, conduct customer discovery. You have to test your hypothesis by talking to your customers. Start with your own network. Get a warm introduction from someone else you've met. Visit trade shows. Get comfortable talking to people you don't know.
One of the things that was really helpful for me was approaching it from a standpoint of learning. In academia, we're all curious, right? I mean, that's one thing that I think really binds us together. And so when I would go and talk with somebody at a trade show, for example, I would legitimately try and understand what their job is like, what their day is like, how their industry works, how their role within the industry is, what their supply structure looks like up and downstream. It was from a point of learning. And people like talking about what they do, and maybe they never had anyone come and ask them, hey, what is your 9 to 5 job like? And what things really give you a headache? And by coming at it from that standpoint of learning, it made it easier for me, made it more enjoyable for me, and I think it also allowed people to open up a little bit more.
Now that you've identified some people, how do you make contact? Don't start with a CEO. Target mid-level management. Research your target contact. Write a concise email, then call. Follow up and be persistent. If you're part of a university, play the student or researcher card. Remind people you are looking for insights and help. Gathering data that you can use is critical to success. Some things to keep in mind. Questions should be tailored to the specific audience. Ask open-ended questions. Ask why repeatedly. Ask them to tell stories. Avoid yes or no questions. Talk about their need, not your technology. Once you've done all of these things, don't just hang up and walk away. Ask them to participate. Say, what else should I have asked? Who else should I speak with? Can you introduce me? And of course, thank them for their insight.
Okay. So when conducting customer discovery interviews or market research, remember you want to get out of the building. The answers that you're looking for are not in your lab. They're out there. They're out there in other places. So your discomfort will actually, it's going to lead to growth, and it's going to give you some more information. So these are a few key goals to reach in your interviews when looking for product market fit. So number one, you want to identify the core problem your product or service solves and assess its urgency or importance, right? How big of a problem is this to your potential customers, right? Is it a shark bite or is it a mosquito bite? So you want to make sure that you figure that part out. And then determine who makes the purchasing decision. This is very important, and we'll go into this a little bit deeper further on in the workshop. And then also define the level of improvement required to convert people to customers, right? What is the improvement hurdle that you are going to have to provide in order for someone to stop using their current solution and jump over and use yours? So when you're preparing your questions, here are some suggestions. You really want to find out what challenges do your customers face related to a specific problem or solution area, right? And this should align with what your solution is and the problem that they're having. And how have they dealt with or solved the problem in the past? How much time do they spend solving it, or how much money do they spend solving it? And then have they tried anything new recently? And ask them for a story. Ask them for what their experience is with that. And then you always want to find out what their budget is, right? Can they afford your solution? Is this something that they could pay for if they had an exponential budget, right? And then who approves these purchases? So it's not always the buyer or the payer, right, that approves these purchases. There are multi-levels that go into that. So make sure your questions align your solution with customer challenges. All right, so how do you introduce yourself during these interviews? You want to make sure that you are transparent about what you're doing. You are doing research and trying to understand more about the problem. You use participating in the RM Reach program as an advantage, right? The reason you're doing this research is because you are participating in this program and you just really want their industry expertise. You want to learn from what they already know so that it can help you move further along in the process. And you're learning, you're not selling. This is a research endeavor, not a sales pitch. And you're only going to need about 10 or 15 minutes of their time. So you want to be brief, you want to be transparent, you want to make sure that you're finding out, you're listening to what their problems are. You're not forcing a solution on them. Effective interviewing. All right. So you don't want to show a demonstration. You don't want a PowerPoint presentation. You are there to learn. You're there to ask them about their job, ask them about their problems they're trying to solve. It's about them. It is not about you. And you really want to look for the unexpected, right? Were there any key takeaways or any things that you were unexpected that you heard, right? Really paying attention to those things. So we often get asked about IP. You do not want to ask people to sign an NDA. If you are talking about your discovery in detail, you are doing the interviewing wrong. You're really just there to listen. And then how to close the interview. Before you close the interview, if you do a Zoom call or you do it over the telephone, we recommend face to face if possible, to see people in their environment, right? So you just get a better feel for what it is that they're doing. You want to ask them who else that you should speak to, if they have someone that they can refer you to. If there was something that you should have asked that you didn't, and then obviously thank them, for their time and whomever referred them to you as well. Okay, now we're going to talk about industry ecosystems and how you can map your own industry ecosystem. I think you're probably all familiar with the scientific ecosystems, but each industry also has its own ecosystem. An industry ecosystem is a community interacting as a system through the flow of materials, money, and information. And the flow involves decision making and usually creates value. So customers are not the only people in your ecosystem. It's important to understand your industry ecosystem and how to navigate through it. And here's an example of a medical industry ecosystem map. And some important questions to address when considering your ecosystem are, who are your stakeholders? How do they interact? Where is my customer in this map? Where does my solution interact with the stakeholders and the customers? What changes if my solution is adopted by my stakeholders and customers? And what might I be missing? Are there any blind spots? Are there any opportunities or threats that I am not seeing in my ecosystem? So what roles does everyone play? Well, the end user is the person who uses the product or service or the solution that you're providing. The buyer can sometimes be the decision maker, and this person, it has the authority to decide which solution gets adopted. These are very important people to know. The payer, the person who has the budget for the solution, again, sometimes these people are the decision makers and not the buyers. And it's important to find that out early on in the process. And then the influencer. So the influencer is the person who weighs in on the selection or the adoption of the purchases or the solutions. The recommender, right, is the person tasked with making solution recommendations. And this could be a consultant, it could be, someone in the regulatory field, it could be someone, who is the CEO of the company. There's lots of different options there. And then the saboteur. So the saboteur is the person who loses out if a new solution is adopted. And this could be a competitor, it could be, another education or research facility, it could be policymakers. So as you can see, there's lots of different options for these roles. And in the center image, the end user is the patients, right, or the citizens, and who might be an influencer. An influencer could be the third party sector, which could be charities or associations. It could also be your healthcare provider or other healthcare professionals, right, that kind of set the tone. And then who could potentially be a saboteur? Well, usually it's a regulatory government agency or potentially other, startups or competitions, right? Okay, so some simple questions to ask to find out who's in your ecosystem. This is just kind of a review of the things that we just went over. So who uses your product or your service or your solution? Who influences its use? Who pays for the product or the service? How does your product get from you to the end user or from manufacturing to the end user? How will your product get or your solution get to the customer? Usually you need some kind of third party provider there. And then who regulates what you do? This is really, really important. Who influences what's heard or known about your product or service? And then who are your competitors? This is also really important. You always want to know who your competitors are and what they're doing, because that can influence some decisions that you make about pricing, about production, many different things. And you always want to improve on whatever your competitors are doing. So where do you find funding for your product or your service or your solution? And then who will care if someone else uses your product or your service? So I'm going to provide an industry ecosystem template in the resources that go along with this video. So you can map who is in your ecosystem, and you can also map how the money, information, and materials flow in between the different roles. Okay, understand the role of the payer and the intermediaries. So who pays? Who pays for your solution is very important, right? So the facts are that the healthcare is the only market where those consuming, usually the patient, and those deciding, usually the provider, and those that are paying are usually payers or insurances, right, are separated. So venture models require an understanding, or a business model require an understanding of how the money flows and what those paying care about. So your patient may care about one thing, but the insurance company may care about another, right? And so you want to make sure that your solution aligns with both of those needs. So things that you want to think about, how are decisions made, right? What are the biggest pain points, and who would benefit and who would lose from your potential solution? Who makes the decisions? So here are some facts. Healthcare is a very unique business model and can be very complicated and sometimes antiquated. So clinicians are not the only decision makers. So you need to understand that up front. And some other things to think about, right? Who are the key decision makers for adopting your project? Are they hospital administration? Are they office managers? Are they physicians? Are they maybe a mix of those? What type of evidence is required to succeed in your space? Is it clinical, economic, efficacy, efficiency, or all of those, right? And then can you share some examples of similar solutions, products, or services that have been adopted? And also understanding the timeline of the adoption process. We all know it's quite a hurdle to get through, the regulatory agencies. Building that into your business model is crucial. All right, so who is the end user, right? You really want to understand who the end user is. So the third point of the triangle, right, is the patient. So how does your solution affect their experience and meet their needs? If your product interacts with patients, you need a deep understanding of their values and their pain points. And not just physical pains, right? There are more that come into play with this. It could be financial, it could be emotional. There's lots of different factors. And even from behind the scenes, data solutions, your work will have downstream effects on patients, and this also must be considered. All right, so by focusing on target customers, your market size, your competition, and your value proposition, you can gather valuable insights to guide product development, market strategy, and ultimately the success of your innovation, which is the product market fit. All right, so who cares and why do they care? And how much do they care? So finding the right product market fit can sometimes be hard. Developing diagnostic tools, medical devices, or other therapeutics is vital for tackling healthcare challenges, but success isn't always guaranteed without the understanding of market dynamics. Market validation helps identify the demand, the competition, and the adoption pathways, ensuring solutions address the ultimate unmet needs, right? It also reduces risks and it increases the chances of commercial and societal impact. So you always want to make sure that your value proposition aligns with what your customers need, and that usually guarantees a good product market fit. But how do you find this information? The most important thing to do is you need to talk to your customers to have them validate your assumptions. This is the Life Science Venture Canvas, and it is an excellent tool for evaluating product market fit. So once you do your customer discovery interviews, you want to take that data from people in your ecosystem, your industry ecosystem. You want to make sure that you're not only interviewing customers, but payers and all the people that are in your ecosystem so that you get a really holistic view of whether your solution matches up with the problem. You take that data and you want to plug it into the life science venture canvas. And it really helps you assess whether your solution effectively addresses the challenges faced by patients and providers. If you're finding out that this really isn't that big of a problem to these people, then that's probably not your market, or there isn't a need for this research innovation in the market. Additionally, this tool can help you identify organizations or individuals who could benefit from your research or also support your research in moving it forward. So think of this as a minimal effort, strategic blueprint plan for demonstrating the real world impact of your work. And it's kind of a litmus test, if you will. The value proposition explains why your discovery is better than current alternatives. It highlights the unique benefits, not the technical aspects, the benefits to the end user. Like better clinical results or cost savings, life care expectancy, things like that, and shows why customers should choose your solution. Strong value proposition requires understanding your customers' needs, whatever the market trends are or industry trends, and what makes your innovation stand out. Your journey should always start with your customer and align with knowing how you address a significant pain point that they're experiencing. And how are you adding value to their life, right? Or their situation, and what need are you satisfying for them? And as mentioned before, product market fit occurs when your product's value proposition resonates with your target audience. And there is a pretty significant demand for your solution. It's the point where customers are not only interested, but actively adopting your solution because it addresses a pressing problem or need that they're having. And so this is a value proposition template, and this is a way to make sure that your work truly addresses the needs of those intended to help. This template focuses on aligning scientific discoveries with potential market needs and stakeholders while maintaining your research integrity. And it consists of, who's your target audience, who will benefit from your research or your solution, what problem or need does your research address, and then the solution. So what is your innovation? This is not a place for you to plug in all the technical aspects of your solution. It's what is it that it is doing to improve the lives of patients? And then any unique differentiators. So why is your solution better? Is it an efficacy thing? Is it a cost savings? Is it efficiency? Does it add more quality to the patient's life? Things of that nature. Benefits. What are the tangible benefits, right? And then any validation that you have. What proof supports your claims that your solution is on track? So when you're developing your value proposition, you want to keep in mind the law of QRST, which is quantitative or quantifiable, relevant, specific, and testable. So for quantitative or quantifiable, you should be able to measure the value. Relevant, your product or your solution should realistically deliver what it's promising. And then specific, right? So clearly define the value each customer gets. And then testable. It can be proven or disproven through testing, trials, data, or customer experience feedback or surveys. So for example, we're going to be using a portable lung airway clearance device as an example with a value proposition. So their value proposition is this device is compact, lightweight, designed to seamlessly integrate into daily life, whether at home or on the go. Users experience targeted and efficient airway clearance, promoting better lung function and improved respiratory health. The design ensures ease of use and comfort, empowering individuals to take control of their respiratory wellness with confidence. So it's improving their life. All right, so here is a list of resources that can help you learn more about the commercialization pathways and potential areas for customer discovery work in your area. I will provide this with some active links to some of the organizations in your resource guide that comes separate from this video so that you can check those out. Your library, whether it's your city or your university, is a great resource to get data and learn about your ecosystem, your industry ecosystem, your university tech transfer offices. I'm imagining that most of you have them at your universities are a great resource, even if you just want to go and talk to them and just explore the opportunity of what the pathway to commercialization looks like at your university, what kind of resources and benefits that they offer you, how long the process takes, etc. your campus entrepreneurship centers or economic departments or your College of Business can help you with any sort of data that you need, or putting together a viable, venture model plan or business plan. Your local or regional business accelerator programs are great resources to get in touch with or to participate in. USPTO.gov, it's for IP related resources. It can give you links to lawyers that can help you with the process of licensing your IP, where, how to go through the process, what's required to get a patent, things of those natures. Most of the resources on the website are free. They do offer webinars and things like that as well. Your local economic development council will also have data for you if you need to do a deep dive into demographics. Small business development centers, again, can help you put together some pro formas for finances and things of that nature. Apex accelerators are great for government contracting. SBIR and STTR are great funding sources to help you once you are in the research and development phase for prototyping. And your Department of Commerce, whatever your state may have different resources and grants and things like that that you can apply for. Of course, NSF I-Corps program is a great way to de-risk your solution or innovation, and it's a great way for your graduate students or your research assistants to get involved in this project as well. The U.S. Department of Census and other government databases can provide, real time demographic information about census in your area, about different types of populations, how much money people make, where people are most concentrated, in living in larger cities and things like that. Let's see, your city, county, or health department can also provide some good health data. How they're the boots on the ground, right? They're the ones that are out there that are, interviewing people, and they see cases come in. So they will have a lot of information that you can use to do some customer and market discovery. Regulatory agencies, FDA, USDA, AMA, things of that nature. All of their websites provide a plethora of great information that's usually free or very low cost that you can use. Healthcare providers, obviously, those are very important in your ecosystem. Key opinion leaders, so anyone in your area or ecosystem that's making important decisions based on certain health issues or, the healthcare ecosystem. And then patient advocacy groups or national associations are also good resource places for you. Oops. All right, so if anyone has any questions that they need help with or other resources that they would like, please feel free to reach out to the RM Reach, the Rocky Mountain Reach team. They can connect you with myself or other colleagues and potentially help you work through any problems that you are having with putting your applications together. So there is some homework that we will also be sending out. And this is really just kind of food for thought. It's really just kind of an exercise for you to go through to help you work through all of the information that we provided today and hopefully help you put together some amazing applications, which I cannot wait to see. So thank you all so much for your time today and joining us. And please do reach out if you need anything. It was